how do we earn extra income without really compromising our family values and priorities? But essentially the question that I really want answered is, are we in a situation where we just need to accept where we are, that this is just a season we need to tough it out, or are we setting ourselves up for an unwise future financial situation?
Ooh, I like this question. That's a great question. All right, tell me about your financial situation, and then tell me about these values you're running up against.
Sure. So I'm a pediatric nurse. My husband is an elementary teacher. We have no debt at all, thank the Lord. But we moved to South Carolina 2 years ago, so we took a $40,000 pay cut. And we had a baby boy this past year, but he's a NICU baby, so he's born 3 months early. So we've had a lot of just financial upheaval with his expenses and me not being able to work. And I don't want anyone else to raise my baby boy. I want to be home and take care of him. But right now, with his expenses and everything, my husband is an amazing man. Just love him to the moon and back. And he's working like crazy to help provide for us, working at school and then coaching in the evenings and working on the weekends. But it just isn't adding up to what we need to pay for things. So we really want to prioritize our family time together. We want our marriage to be strong, our boy to see a good, godly man in his life more often, to serve in our church and community. So we're just trying to figure out, how do we make the ends meet in that way?
Tell me about your math problem that you're running up against.
Well, I used to be able to work more. I can certainly make more money in just working a few hours a day, which I am working 1 to 2 mornings a week, than my husband could make working 7 nights a week, because just a minimum wage job is what he would be able to do at the moment.
Sure.
So I almost feel kind of guilty in a way to not be able to help. But I also know just my son is my number one priority.
Yeah. So tell me, before I just start answering questions, tell me what question I can help you with, because there's a lot here.
Right. I'm just trying to see. My husband has his dream job,
Okay.
and I don't want him to have to give that up. But I also know that I'm a very factual person, and we're dipping more into our savings than what we're spending, and we are very frugal. We're not spenders at all. But just because of what we have to do to help our son to get what he needs medically, it just isn't mathing the math.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to figure out what is there something else I could do, or is there something that, maybe we just have to really dig down deep and tough it out for a couple of years and maybe it'll get better? Or are we just setting ourselves up for this is just how it's going to be, and something more drastic, I guess, needs to happen?
So, yeah, you've boxed yourself into a really tight corner, okay? So here's what I'm hearing, and tell me if I'm missing anything, okay?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Number one, any sort of childcare for a young baby, especially a baby that scared you to death, right? In your mind is somebody else raising my baby. That's number one. Number two, I'm sitting on the ability to just literally walk out my front door and triple our family's income. And I don't want to right now. Number three, my husband's in his dream job, but unfortunately that dream job doesn't pay anything. And I was a teacher myself. I've been there. And I don't want him to give up his dream job to go sit in a cubicle somewhere doing insurance forms so that we have the money to do what I want to do. Number four, to do these other things, he has to do his dream job, but that also means he has to go work 2 or 3 minimum wage jobs just to keep the lights on. And I want my son to see his dad present at home, laughing, full of joy, not just walking home and collapsing. And I want to see him as a leader in these civic places. I want to see him coaching the Little League team. I want to see his dad helping around the church, like whatever the things are. And so I hear a lot of wants anchored into these elusive, quote unquote, values. And so to answer your big overarching question, you have a lot of competing wants that don't work mathematically.
Right.
And that is a recipe for being emotionally and mentally exhausted and unwell and ultimately burned out.
Yes.
And that's like for every mental health diagnostic, for every emotional health challenge, a therapist is going to try to get you to this first place, which is choosing reality.
Mm-hmm.
You have a fear of flying, yet your job requires that you fly. Reality says, get a new job, or we're going to do some exposure therapy, and we're going to get you to a place where you can get on an airplane. That's your two choices, right? And so for you, backing all the way up and asking, beneath my wants, because I want all of these things, they're just not possible, right?
Right.
What is the world me and my husband are trying to co-create together? And most of the time, not always, there's outliers in everything, but most couples, most of the time, are trying to get the right car, trying to get quote unquote dream jobs, trying to get the right house in search of this elusive, terrifyingly hard to nail down thing, especially in the modern world, called peace.
Mm-hmm.
What does peace feel like in our home? And most of the time, achieving peace takes discomfort in some level, whether that's you working 3 half days a week, or you working 2 full days a week, or your husband stopping being a teacher and taking an administrative track so he can triple his salary, or whatever those things are, so that we can both come home and be so happy that we're in our safe place that we've co-created together. And then when our marriage is good and we're not worried about the water getting shut off, our child's nervous system has peace.
Sure.
You get what I'm saying?
I mean, we're not to the extent where we're.
I know I'm
like
being over dramatic about cutting off water.
Okay.
I get that. But here's the thing. It can feel like I want this kind of minivan because we have a car seat. I want this kind of house and we need to have a guest room because 3 times a year I want my parents to come visit. All of these things are really nice luxuries. And so it's getting beneath this want thing and saying, who do we want to be as an identity question, and then letting the things go from there. You have a lot of competing wants. You had this picture of what you thought motherhood was going to look like and more importantly, feel like, and it's not adding up. And I'll also tell you, you've entered into the American industrial mom guilt complex. And I will tell you, there's not a way out of that, by the way. If you're staying at home, you should be working. And if you're working, you should be staying at home. And if you're not, have dinner on the table and wanting to sleep with your husband 7 days a week, you're failing. And if you are prioritizing you're failing. There's trying to seek out that sensation of, it's very hard to get to. Because the world that we all live in is designed for mothers to never feel content and peaceful. Because if you're content and peaceful, you don't buy as much crap. That's really the ultimate thing, right? And so asking you, beneath all of those things that you want, who do y'all want to be from an identity standpoint?
Well, we are Christians.
Okay.
So our main goal is just to serve the Lord in whatever we have been given and to just do what God has given us to the best of our ability.
Okay.
So we don't even need much. We're not asking for much in terms of just financial things.
Okay.
We don't care about stuff. We don't care about trips. We don't care about whatever. We just want to have a home that's safe for our son to see a godly man and woman grow up in, and for us to be present with him, and to have people come into our lives that we can just minister to, and to just have a joyful home. And that's what we have, but we just don't want to set ourselves up for something that causes more strife that we could foresee in the future. I know my husband also has some opportunity to get into administration, which is a thing, but it's a couple years down the road.
Sure.
So he would have to get his master's degree and those types of things. And we were well off in Ohio, where we came from. And we weren't in a difficult situation. Even if I wasn't working, we would have been perfectly fine. It's just living down here, the pay is significantly worse.
Why'd y'all take a
$40,000
pay cut to move to South Carolina?
To be closer to family, because we weren't near anybody and it worked out great because of how difficult it was in the past year with our son. We needed a big, strong community, and that was more than what we could have asked for down here.
That's amazing. And so that's yet another want. You're trying to cram a lot of stuff into this picture.
Sure.
And your arms are getting really weary trying to keep the frame together. There's too much stuff in this picture.
Okay.
And so what I would tell you is this: it's a fun exercise. It can be a scary exercise. It can be filled with laughter and tears. And I've been through both of those seasons, okay?
Sure.
When you and your husband get away for half a day and get one of the people in your support community to watch your son for half a day, and y'all get up early on a Saturday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, and y'all go get coffee together at one place, and then you go get breakfast at another place, and plan to do this till noon. And and it's an emotional exercise. And if you want to be like a nerd, like, you know, your husband's a teacher, if he wants to write down on note cards, all of these different things around family, dream job, want to stay home full time, also have a pediatric nurse certification, all these things, want to make this much money. We want to be able to support and take care of strangers who walk into our front door, but that takes resources. That takes a certain size house. It takes a certain size amount of marginal money every month, right? All these things are real. And by the way, wanting to go on vacation, wanting to have a car that starts every time you turn the key, that's not a unchristian desire, okay? All of these things that we're putting out on the table, and then literally sweep the table clean. A completely clear deck, and look at each other in the eye, hold hands across the table and say, okay, we have a brand new marriage that we get to build together. We have a new son, scary, scary season. NICU, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Not being able to take your baby home and hug that baby, right?
Yeah.
And having to put your finger in a glove in that hot dog lamp, right? Just for some sort of connectivity. And we're exhaling, we're coming out of that season, and we get to decide what this looks like. And it may not be comfortable at first, but put every single variable back on the table. We can move back to Ohio. We can move to Kansas. We can move anywhere. We can work in any job we want to. For 2 or 3 years, I can go be a full-time nurse, and my mom, who lives down the street, and I'm making this up, can watch our kid from this time to this time, and you take no extra jobs, and the moment the school bell is out, you come home. And husband, you make dinner for the next 3 years, and we're going to get this much financial margin so we can get this size house. So everything comes back on the table. And what I want you to look at is, who do we want to be in 5 years? And what things do we need to start doing right this second so that in 5 years we are laughing when we walk in the front door? I want the values conversation. I want you and your husband asking that question. I want y'all to do that together. And y'all shake hands and say, okay, for the next 6 months, we're all in. I'm going to take 2 classes. I am going to start working 2 days a week. And we're going to get some financial relief in this house. We're going to stop dipping into savings. We're going to consider that maybe this move to South Carolina was the single greatest thing we could have ever done for this year and a half or this 2 years. And to do all of the things that we feel called to do, that we want to do, we're going to need to move where it's more financially viable. And by the way, Marie, this conversation is happening in households all across the country. That's why there's just people moving all over the place. Because the dream of all these things inside one picture frame just isn't mathematically real. The world's gotten so stinking expensive just to get milk in, right? Just to get eggs in, much less buy a house, much less all these other things, right? So we're going to put everything on the table. And then you might say, okay, move back to Ohio. And both of y'all look at each other and be like, no way. Cool. Throw that one in the trash. But at least we didn't leave anything unsaid. And we'll start from square one. And in 5 years, y'all are going to look up. Maybe he's a principal somewhere. Maybe you're working 2 or 3 days a week. Or maybe you have 3 kids and you're a stay-at-home full-time mom. And. But the key is we did it together. We built a map together and we followed that map. And then 6 months later, we're going to get together and we're going to do it again. Swipe the deck clean and say, where are we? I hate grad school. I want to be a classroom teacher. All right, honey, here's what it's going to cost. It's going to cost me. I got to go back to work another day. It's 3 days a week. We all shake hands. All right, we're in. And we're going to keep doing that over time. The lie is y'all are both going to get somewhere and it's going to be static and stable. It's just not going to. You throw a special needs kid in or a kid with some medical challenges, a new baby after this, all that madness is going to keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. But you, my sister, are a good mom. You've done a great job. Your husband sounds like an amazing guy that's doing whatever he can do to be supportive. And it's real easy to get stuck on life's treadmill. Let's clear the deck completely. Exhale. Say, who do we want to be? Let's get off the treadmills. And let's hold hands and head off into the woods together.